Hey, what's up everyone? Thanks for tuning in the stream, whether you're watching it now live or going to be watching this later. In this session, I'm going to be basically developing a one-page website dedicated for Twitch streamers. Really just the importance of having your own website, especially for Twitch streamers, just having the ability to control your own brand. And now when we think of all the different platforms, we really want to worry about if it goes away. Hold on one second. Just making sure the audio isn't having any issues. Please hold. All right, jumping back in. So we're talking about developing a one-page website using Elementor and WordPress, and this one-pager will be dedicated to Twitch streamers. And at the end of this session, I'm going to be giving you the layout absolutely free, no emails to sign up to actually get it. I'm just going to give you the link once I make it available. But I basically designed this quick little layout using Figma. Figma is what I use to kind of create my little mock-ups and designs before I actually go in and jump into the development itself. It actually saves me a ton of time when it comes to clients because I don't have to essentially build the entire site, all the technical details of it, show it off to the client for them to say, this wasn't really the direction I was looking at. I can quickly create the design layouts, whatever I want inside of Figma, get the client to sign off and agree on that design, and then go in and basically make this a reality. So we're jumping off from that point. So I've already got the design made out, and now it's time to implement it into Elementor. So I'm going to hide this over on this other screen just to make it easier so you don't see me flipping back and forth and being all super confusing. But inside of Elementor, or inside of WordPress rather, we need to set up our page. So I'm going to give this just a nice little title of Twitch template. What gets a lot of people when it comes to Elementor is just the layout of the website itself. Now on the bottom right, there's this page attributes. Depending on your theme, you're probably going to get a page that looks kind of funky, and your editor is like in this little box. There's a side widget. It doesn't work with what you're actually trying to do. What you want to make sure you do is change this to Elementor full width. This will keep your header. This will keep your footer of your theme, but it'll let you give the full width of the page to actually build out your site. Now, because I'm building this on my own site, I'm actually choosing Elementor Canvas just because I want to get rid of my default header and my default footer because we're doing something completely different outside of my own brand itself. So we're done. I'm just going to hit publish here. And then now let's go into editing the template. I personally love Elementor just because it is incredibly easy to use. There's a little bit of a learning curve because there's a lot of different settings and features, but it can do a lot and it's pretty robust. And there's a lot of third-party additions that make it that much better. I pretty much use, essential add-ons. I'll find it here. Yes, Essential Add-ons is kind of like go-to third-party plugin, but I also have Elementor Pro just because you can edit the header, you can edit the footer, you can create your own custom archive pages. You can do a lot with it, and it's definitely worth, I think it's like $50 a year for the Pro license, or if you design website, there's an unlimited license, like $150 or $200 a year for 1,000 sites. But if you have clients, it's absolutely worth it. So looking at this page here, let's start off with just a header, the header of the site itself. We're gonna go ahead and click this little plus. I want to split the header because I want the logo and stuff on the left and then the menu on the right. So we'll go ahead here. Now I don't actually have a logo set up, so I'm just going to do a text logo. Twitch streamer is my logo. And I want to adjust the size because that's a little too big. Cool. And on the right hand side here, I would normally do a navigation menu, but because it's just going to pull my own navigation, I'm going to list, this little icon list, and it's going to look kind of weird and janky, and we'll fix that in a second. We're going to go inline, that way it doesn't stack, it just goes in one nice line there. And then I want to get rid of this so that we see these sections that I'm going to be creating. I have about the link. I'm going to do hashtag about. Basically, I'm going to be linking to different sections on the page. So I have that kind of one page navigation. You'll see what it looks like here in a bit. Let me copy this. And then we'll have games. Again, games for that ID. Playlists. Again, same thing, playlists. I should probably zoom in. Figma, you can zoom in as big as you want. So you probably want to do that while you're developing the site and not looking at it from a bird's eye view. And then videos. Cool. So I've got that. I want to make sure that this is aligned to the right. Space between. Let's give it some more space. I do want to adjust the text. Let's see. Been liking this font lately, Enter. Color, let's make it white. On hover, what color did I make this primary? I think I made it like a blue. We'll just leave it kind of grayish for now. I'll adjust it later. But I also want to make this font white. Cool. I'm going to leave it kind of there. I'm going to adjust it here in a bit, but there's still a lot more that I have to do with it before I can actually make it. But now it's time for the hero image. And as you remember, it looked kind of like this. Here, I'm just going to leave this open for reference. So you all can reference it. Hey, that's me. But here's the hero image that we're going to be creating. Catch me live on Twitch. We're going to pull in the actual Twitch feed, so that way it'll show whenever you're live, or offline it'll show kind of your recent video, just like it would on the actual Twitch site itself. So again, I'm going to do this across here. We're going to edit the section, and what I typically do is set a minimum height. Instead of having like padding, 80 padding, whatever, I'll set a minimum height to work with. That way it kind of keeps me adjusted, and then I'll adjust as I need to or see fit here. So let's just start off with the background image. So let me export this photo really quick. And then to set the background image, we're going to go over to Style. We're going to choose Classic, and then we can upload the image here. You can see I have a bunch of other random images because this is my personal site. I typically always try to have an alternative text. It helps with SEO and it helps for accessibility. So if you think of the people that can't see that well or can't see at all they can do with a website is hear the alternative text and the different sources behind the scenes. So to make sure the web is accessible for everyone, you want to make sure you include that alternative text there. Boom. And you can see how it kind of clips here. So there's adjustments that we need to make on the actual website. So that's where this little section comes in. So position, I'll typically do center unless there's a specific focal point that I want. You can actually go custom too and adjust this however you want. I don't have to do that too often because I typically will just go and do the size. I'll make it cover. That way it covers the entire area. And let me turn off my AC because it is kind of loud. I newly got the Nest for Christmas and it's been fantastic. Cool. That'll go off in a second. All right, but we have cover. Some of the cool things that you can do here with the background image is the attachment. So you can set it to fixed. That way the background image is fixed. For this layout, I'm gonna go with fixed and I'll keep it at this. You can also do different things with scrolling effects or mouse effects, like where it'll like kind of track. I think it's kind of distracting for something that big, so I'll leave it alone. But I do want to make sure that this image is a little bit darker just so my text and my content really stand out and that it pops. So for this, we'll just click classic again, but instead of an image, we're going to set the color. I'll just make it black and kind of adjust it a little bit and we'll leave it right there. And I think I have the basis ready for my site here. But the header doesn't really look that great. That's because I wanted to kind of overlay. So we're going to go ahead and make sure we're still selected on this section. We're going to choose advanced, and then we're just going to pop this up until it's underneath the other header. And now I lost it. And now if you ever lose the content, you can always go down to this navigator and choose the section. And what we need to do is adjust the Z index. So Z index is basically tells what layer of priority it should be on. So if something has 100 and the following has 99, the one with 100 is going to show on top of the one that has 99. The higher the number, the higher the priority. So we can literally just do this one and it works. Now with this column, I am making sure that my vertical alignment is the middle. So that way, no matter how big or how small it is, it will always be there. And then the last thing I need to do here is go down to advanced and then motion effects. And I want to make sure that this is sticky. So that way it stays at the top of the screen as it goes down. And there's some other cool stuff you can do with this section, but we'll kind of leave it alone for now. I am going to do a slight background. There's a pretty cool tutorial that shows that'll give you the CSS code to actually make it at invisible, the background visible at first, and then as you scroll down, it appears. But for the sake of this demo, I'm going to keep things kind of simple and just do that. All right, now let's move on to the actual content. So I had a little heading for @Neely. Again, this can be whatever you want it to be. I'm going to change the color to white. Let's update my heading. What did I say? Catch me live on Twitch. Make this heading 1 because I want this to be the main call out. Adjust the color, and it's a little bit too close. I've got to adjust the line height a bit. Cool. I like that. I do want to make the font a little bit bigger. I like using REM just because it does scale depending on the size of the actual content or the responsiveness of the actual site itself. And then my last tip here on this heading section at least is the positioning. So if you go to advanced, then positioning, and then width, you can actually set the width of the item itself. So if I want, say, it to be like this or like this, I can absolutely do so without adjusting the padding. I'm going to leave it alone for now, but I just thought that was a cool little addition. And last but not least, for this left section, I'm going to get these social icons. And go left. What I had Twitch, TikTok, or Twitter, and Instagram. So we have Twitch, Twitter and Instagram. But with Elementor, if you end up using this for your own brand, you have other social handles, you can absolutely add that on without really needing to do anything extra. You just click that plus and do exactly as I did. I kind of like it to be a circle rather than the icons themselves, so I'm going to leave them the circles. The size looks fine. I do want to mess with the spacing though, a little too close to each other. I want them to grow as I hover over them. Cool. So now with this section, we actually want to go over to Twitch to grab the embed code. So before we do that, I'm going to throw in the HTML. And now to jump over to Twitch. Let me just jump to the thing so I keep my private settings safe. All right, so basically if you go to your channel, you can go to this little share icon towards the bottom right, go to embed, and then using an iframe, you can just copy paste this. So I copied it, go back over, paste the HTML source, and it's gonna say, whoops, this embed is misconfigured. There's one extra step that you have to do. That's basically you have to tell it what site this is actually going on. So you find the www.example.com and just replace it with your domain name. So mine is neely.pro. It's going to make sure that shows, and it's probably going to show me as I'm doing this, but it might break. Hey, there it is. And look, it did my whole hand movement. So I've got that in. It shows when you're live, which is super cool, right on the site itself. And I want to make sure that this has a bit of animation. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this column, go to motion effects, go to entrance animations. I want this to fade in, and I want this one to kind of fade in from the right. Bam, and we're done with that section. Last but not least, I did want to have a little arrow icon towards the bottom. I'm going to add an icon right here. I'm going to search arrow. I want the arrow down. There we go. I want this one. Let's make it white so it'll stand out. And now I want this to have a bit of a different position. So I want the position to be absolute. That way I can move it wherever I want. It's not the best for responsiveness per se, but for things like this, it works out fine. I'll need to adjust it on tablet and mobile view later on, but for now we'll do this. And then for the link, I'm going to do hashtag or pound next, and you'll see why here in a bit. But on to the next section, we're moving and doing the little about me here. Again, we're going to do this little split. For this one, I am going to do padding itself. And even if I just want to adjust the top and the bottom, I'll still adjust, at least put 10 on the left and right, because when this goes over to tablet and mobile, it's going to keep that same responsiveness. It'll have 0 on the left, 0 on the right. Tablet, probably not so much of an issue, but on mobile, it'll basically be wall to wall, just content, with no breathing room for your padding. And because I have this going to hashtag next, that's basically looking for an ID with that name. So I can go here to advanced and then CSS ID, go next. Now when I'm right here, it'll click and it'll scroll down to that next section. But let me grab this image of me. Again, you can make this whatever image you want of you, whether you have your own custom logo. I'm currently waiting on mine. I hired someone to do that, so I've been super excited just waiting, looking at my inbox every day, waiting for it to come in. But for now, I'll just do me. Again, that animation, I want this to move in from the left. With Elementor, there's all sorts of things you can do. Some of them are kind of distracting. Like I probably would never use light speed or roll in. That's a bit much. But I'll do fade in left. And then I need a heading for about me. I'm just going to put in some dummy content here. I'm not going to actually fill this out. And then last but not least, with this section, I do want to go ahead and make sure that this is vertically aligned in the middle. So click the column, then go down to middle. Cool. So I've got that next section pretty much down pat. Let's make these, as I kind of go through with the rest of the animations, for the most part, they're going to be fading up. I just think it looks nice as you kind of go through and scroll through the site. It's just kind of just nice and appear. Not too over the top, but not too subtle to where you don't notice it. I've noticed when I use fade in, you can't really tell that it's actually fading in. So it kind of defeats the purpose. I cannot type. All right, I want to do a counter here. And this next section, I just threw in some different stuff. My KDA is definitely not 3.5, but I've probably used that many curse words while gaming. So we'll just do that. 125, and then plus hours played. And you can copy elements too. So if you right click and then go to copy, you can right click and then go to paste to kind of save you some time. And while you're developing the site, if you have a bunch of pages, you can actually do that within your pages itself. Another cool life hack here when it comes to Elementor is the quick switcher, or finder they call it. If you hit Command E or Control E, you can type what page you're looking for and you'll get quick access to just jump right into it. And edit from wherever you are. So that way you don't have to go back to WordPress, go to pages, find it, edit Elementor, and then edit. You can just go wherever you are inside of the WordPress dashboard, whether you're in pages, posts, media, on Elementor itself, wherever. So next up we have 15 years gaming. I've probably been gaming since I was like 5 or 6 on the Super Nintendo. Paste this 3.5. It's probably like 1.25, but this is just for science. And just to make sure that this looks nice, I'm just going to go 3.54 million. Curse words used. Perfect. It's probably a little bit too much space there. So let me adjust this. Because I wanted this to kind of be a part of it. Hey, what's up, Gator? Yeah, I was gonna do this later on tonight, but the house is empty. My daughter just got picked up. The fiance is out and about, and I was like, it's quiet. I might as well do this now. But basically, I'm just making a quick little layout in Elementor for Twitch streamers. I designed this little one-pager in Figma, and I'm just using this to design a quick little one-page site, and I'll have the download available later on too. But moving on to the next section here, we got the games I like to play. Again, gonna have some padding and whatnot. Let me adjust this. But Gator, tell me about yourself, man. Are you a web designer? Are you just a Twitch streamer? Do you hustle in some way? What's going on with you? All right, so we got the padding there. All right, we want to make sure that this is centered. Have that nice little fade up animation. And again, to adjust this, what I see a lot of people do is they'll adjust the padding on the left and right. They'll go like percentage and then do 20, 20, and kind of keep adjusting. What I do instead is just adjust the content width. So if you go to advanced width and then custom, you can adjust this to the size that you want. And then inside of the column, you can do horizontal align and then center, and then it adjusts there. And then it makes it a lot easier to just kind of adjust on the fly. With the padding, it goes wonky on different responsiveness types, mobile types, tablets, things like that. This has just saved me a ton of time. And you can do this on any content, and it'll inline as well. Currently doing your own thing, right on. Huge sham step, Adam. Right on, dude. I applaud you going headless and kind of doing your own stuff. I've dabbled in it. I'm much more of kind of like the front end design, like in Figma, create the designs itself and then make it. I've tried to go in and do the whole coding thing. It's just not my jam. I'll do CSS and HTML and some JavaScript, maybe a little PHP here and there when I need to adjust something, but it's definitely a lot. I also work at a GoDaddy working with designers and developers as a product manager, and I kind of see both sides, and it's definitely a ton of work. All right, and now we're gonna go gallery. We want to make this little section here, the games I like to play. The nice thing about Figma when you're designing in it, you can easily export any of this content. Nice and easy. And it goes in the size that you actually have created. So I'm going to be lazy and not try to find where I originally saved these and just export them in. Any cool projects you've been working on lately, Gator? In. Do you want to have a grid? Columns 3. I don't want any spacing there. What you want to do if you do throw in the gallery is adjust the image size. It's going to throw it in by 300 by 300. But you can see these look super pixelated. I'll typically try to do 768 to see if that looks good. Or a little bit larger. The more a browser has to resize, the slower your site will end up eventually getting. But I also want to make this 1 by 1. Cool. I think that looks good. Really don't want to have an overlay because I don't really want it to do much other than just them to click on it if they want to. But I need to give this some space so it can breathe. Again, have that animation, that fade in up. Make sure I did that to this one too. Let's see what I have so far. Cool, got my Twitch right there. That's me. Going down, I can click this little next, the about me, and then we got the games I like to play. Cool, moving on. All right, this next section is to really show off your different playlists that you have that you really want to call out, whether it's your cool headshot compilations or your walkthroughs or whatever else you really want to do. Hey, what's going on? All right, so Gator's been working on building various tools for digital marketers. That's cool, man. Do you have a site you want to kind of promote? I don't mind to throw it in the chat at all, if they're ready. right, so this one I had a nice background. I'm going to grab the hex codes. This I'm going to do a minimum height again. I'm going to go over style. So Elementor is cool because you do a lot of stuff for the background itself. You can do classic, whether it's an image or color. You can do gradients, you can do videos, or you can do slideshow galleries. And I like the slideshow galleries in this one because it's not like the actual slider of content sliding that no one actually sees the next page. It's just the background images will kind of rotate out, and it adds a little bit of extra pizzazz to your site, if you will. And grab this next color. And I do like using subtle gradients on these backgrounds versus just a solid color. It adds a little bit of depth. Dope. So I just saved that link. I'll check that out in a bit. All right, what do I have here? My favorite playlists. I'm gonna change the color to white. Just gonna add in some dummy text. I'm going to choose the call to action. I'm going to choose cover, so it's the entire thing. The image was this cool little Twitch background. A couple sites I use for free royalty-free images you can use for a bunch of different stuff is Pexels, so pexels.com, Unsplash, or if you're willing to pay, I use Envato Elements quite a bit. It's like a one-stop shop of all different types of content resources, so graphics, photos, WordPress templates, WordPress plugins, music, sound effects, all sorts of stuff. I think it's like if you pay annually, it's like 15 bucks a month, but I use this pretty religiously. And it's got a cool little integration so I can actually search images right from the actual dashboard. Not a paid sponsorship or anything, it's just something I use literally daily. That's how I got that dope image. Go back to media library. I don't think I actually downloaded it. Export rectangle. Again, making sure I have that alt tag there. Alright, I want to make sure this is bottom and then left. I want to adjust the padding myself. Adjust the hover effect. Ooh, I do not like that. All right, I'll just leave it like that. Oof, a little bit too much. I'm gonna go rounded edges on these. Go over to border radius. You can also preview what the site looks like by clicking this little arrow here as you go through. And same thing on mobile and tablet too. So the bottom left, there's this like kind of responsive mode. Let me export these little rectangles. All right, so we got that. And now it's time to get these little mini sections. All right, for these sections, I'm going to use an image box. going to do something a little bit different. So I'm actually going to delete this and add an inner row. For these sections, I'm going to use the image box, or intersection rather, because I want these to kind of line up evenly. And again, I'll use the positioning width here to make sure this isn't too much. Intersection rather, because I want these to kind of line up evenly. And again, cool. I'll use the positioning width here to make sure this isn't too much. Just throw all these in because I'll need it eventually. That is dope. Gator's putting in work on the night hours. All right, cool. So this was clutch wins. So we'll say 20 videos. And then you would just link this over to either your YouTube playlist or Twitch videos or whatever you wanted to do. I still need to adjust this quite a bit though. That works. Fails with friends. Works. I fail a lot, especially in playing video games. So I'm going to say that's 42. Right click, duplicate. We got just regular how-tos. Let's say 12. And last but not least, Warzone loadouts, since those have been super popular, especially with a lot of the guns being overpowered right now, like the DMR. Again, you just have those linked to whichever. And another time saver too is if you need to adjust, say I think the font's a little bit too big for the header content, I can go in here and adjust it accordingly. And I can right click, copy, and then paste style. Right click, paste style, and it'll paste all of the same attributes to those styles, making it nice and easy to kind of adjust on the fly. And I want this to have the same kind of height. Cool. And then adjust this padding. Motion effects, fade these in up. I have tried Webflow. So it's, you can definitely do a ton with it. And they say it's pretty easy to get started. It's easy to do the easy stuff, just like the basic block boxes and whatnot. But if you want to do anything that shows up like on their showcase, it's a bit complicated and definitely confusing. I just haven't spent enough time to really get to know it. When it comes to me working with clients, I'll typically stick with the stuff that I know how to do really, really well, and I can do it fast, because at the end of the day, my time is my money. But it's definitely something, I don't want to mess with this. It's definitely something that I've wanted to kind of get into, because they say once you get the hang of it, it does a lot, and it's pretty quick and easy to do. Have you ever tried Webflow? It does a lot, and it's pretty quick and easy to do. Have you ever tried Webflow? All right, next section. We just have our latest videos. All right, next section. Just have our latest videos. again, positioning, adjusting this so it's not so large. I'm going to add an intersection for this next part because I'm going to be pulling in Twitch videos. So on an actual Twitch channel, you can go and actually embed a video. Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. Yeah, CSS is my jam. I grew up with it. I think I first started learning it when I was like 15. I had like this class called New Media. The teacher was a joke. Basically, I was handed a book and said, all right, cool, go through your lessons. And that's what you're doing for this year, which wow, that's a lot. I'm sorry for that. I'm just trying to go to my actual videos. And that was how I learned throughout the year. And it will not let me see my videos while I do it, which that stinks. But yeah, I think it's Webflow is definitely super popular for a reason. And the sites that are on there on the showcase are gorgeous looking sites, and it's super cool with all the animations and like the responsiveness and like the interactions you can definitely do with all of it. Have you built any sites using Webflow? Well, I try to figure out how to find my videos while I'm live streaming. Collections, there we go. All right, found it. So again, just gonna throw in HTML here, so I can grab just the Twitch embeds. Again, if you're embedding from Twitch, you have to update this URL with the URL of your own website. Otherwise, it will not work, or just won't work at all. There we go. For the sake of time, I'm just going to duplicate these. Should have adjusted this first. This top one a bit of padding. Yeah, I'm like you. You always go back to kind of what you know and love. But I think if we had all the extra time, I would definitely jump over it and kind of figure those extra quirks out. Yeah, I'm like you. All right, so let's make these just fade in. Like there's going to be too much going on to have this fade in up. All right, this next section is this little call to action. Again, that same background. So honestly, what I'm going to do is go up to this. I'm going to right click, copy, and then go back down to here, right click, paste style. And it'll paste the same attributes over, saving me time. I'll have to adjust a lot here a bit. Actually, I need to do this and get rid of the bottom padding. I also need to have no gap. You'll see why here in a minute. Let me export this. And I made this little image just using Canva. Canva is super dope, just as a quick little graphic editor. They have like little template inserts. So if I go over to my Canva account really quick, I can show you. And I made this little image just using Canva. Canva is super dope. So this is actually a template, or a frame they call it. And you can throw in literally whatever image or whatnot that you want in it. And it'll kind of stick to that frame. So this is actually a template. So it's nice to make little graphics pretty quick. Same thing here. Grab a photo or whatever you want and just kind of throw it in. Cool, that's good to know. I don't know why. So all my sound should be off. That's good to know. I don't know why. I'll have to look into that after the stream to figure out what's going on. I've been using Lightstream to echo, and I've just switched over just to use Streamlabs OBS. Now that I have time to kind of figure that out. So there might be something going on there. Using Lightstream to echo, and I've just switched over just to use Streamlabs OBS. But that is mildly frustrating. So there might be something going on there. I'm also using, I think it's Soundflower too, to play the music back into the stream versus my headphones. So that's why I did the no gap and then had no padding on the bottom. And now what's next? Follow me on Twitch. So that's why I did the no gap and then had no padding on the bottom. What's next? Follow me on Twitch. I already had one. Yeah, they're definitely pain. I tried using this thing called Sound. Oh gosh, what is it? Yeah, they're definitely pain. I tried using. I forget what it is, but it basically like it lets you kind of choose what app uses what audio source. I was trying out the trial earlier. I think I'm gonna use it because it was pretty handy. Which to. Another nice little thing with Elementor is you can transform the text. So if you want to have it capitalized or all uppercase or lowercase or whatever you want, it's pretty easy to do so. Let's add a button. Export this little Twitch icon. Oof, that looks weird. Just use an actual Twitch icon. This won't be colored. All right. So loop back. Let me see. Sound Source was the one I was using, the trial. It's like $40 to use it, but it's nice to kind of just go and flip. I think it does kind of the same thing, but it doesn't have that cool graphic interface. It's like $40 to use it, but it's nice to kind of just go and flip. I think it does kind of the same thing, but it doesn't have that cool graphic interface. This fade in left and this fade in up. All right, all that's really left is the footer. Little copyright. Section here, copyright 2020. Thankfully, this year is almost over. I'm going to grab these social handles up here and paste them really quick. Then I'll just adjust them over here. I always forget which one's which. All right, really the only thing to do with this is just kind of adjust it for different experiences. So I would probably make this column 100%, adjust margin. Sorry for that background noise. Got someone coming in. Margin, sorry for that background noise. This also 100. Font's a bit big on this one. Oops. Font's a bit big on this one. Let's paste this style over. That looks good. What I like about Elementor too is it lets you easily adjust this for different sizes. So if they have this little icon next to any of the items, you can easily adjust it just for that experience. My latest videos. Oof. the one bad thing with Twitch is they give you an iframe, so they're not the most responsive. There's also a JavaScript option, which would also work, but it takes a little bit more to kind of adjust. Because I've tried it using inside of Elementor, it makes it really squished. And I didn't want to spend the time figuring out how to fix that. So what I would do instead is make this 50, and I would probably just hide this one. On tablets, that way it would just look like that. For this one, you want to make sure that this is vertically aligned at the bottom. That font is way too big. This one, you want to make sure that this is vertically. That looks good. Mobile. I didn't actually use a navigation menu. I just used a list, which doesn't really work for this. So on mobile, I'm just going to hide it because you are going to have your own menu with your WordPress theme. I was using it there for an example for now. Which also means I don't need to adjust that padding. So that would go away. What did I do? Oh, there we go. Or not. It's just Elementor being weird. Oops. We have my live stream of me. Too much padding there, so let's adjust that. It's just Elementor being weird. Adjust these columns so they're 50. Super important, even after adjusting the different elements, to actually go into the different browsers, different phones, just to see how these actually look. Because these experiences are always different on whether it's Android or iPhone or whatever other types of phones you have, or different computers. Some things just don't render the same. It's important to just cross QA everything. Is fine. Adjust this padding. For these, I'm going to adjust the image size. Make it a little bit bigger. But if I did want to kind of adjust and make these side by side, I can go over to position, then custom, and then just choose like 50%, for example. And then same thing. I'll stop being lazy and change this image. play this videos. That looks fine. Probably make this centered with the font a little bit smaller. To fit on 3 lines. Cool. Center this. Center this on mobile. All right, and I think it is done. So turned, whoops, this quick little Figma template into a 1-page site. Elementor is cool in the fact that you can copy paste this stuff over. Appreciate it, Taiwan Tim. Appreciate that follow. But yeah, I basically talk about all things WordPress, web design, front end design, social media, sometimes online presence, GoDaddy stuff, since I also work there too. Just a little bit of anything and everything that world. But I do appreciate the follow. But yeah, so Elementor, you can save different templates. So you can create global options. So I can save this as global. So if I use it on multiple pages, I only have to edit one of those to update everywhere else. I do that a lot with like testimonial sliders that show up throughout the entire site, or things like that, or galleries. I can also save sections as a template, or I can save the entire page as a template, which is how I'm going to give you all access to this file. All right, Twitch, 1-pager. Appreciate it, man. Get some sleep. And then it'll all show up here under your templates. And then you can export them and import them wherever. Oops, let's go to media. Oh. All right, fine. Let's see. Let me go to my OneDrive really quick. Google Drive, so that way I can share it with you. All right, let's copy the link. So that will have it. There we go. So when that goes to neely.pro/twitch-content, if you the things that I go through in this hour and 7-minute long stream into bite-sized chunks on either Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, it's all Justin Neely on those channels. So if you like what you see, give me a follow. Or if you're working on something super cool and want something to just check it out and kind of see, I'm always looking for new tools to help me improve my workflow. So I would appreciate connecting. I'll see you all next time. Thanks, guys.